Well, hello. Um, yeah, not done a live for quite a while, and quite bored tonight. So I thought, last minute, start the stream about 10 minutes early. That's if you can hear me. I need to wait for people to come into the actual stream itself, just to see if my microphone's working. I don't know. I really don't know. But oh, here we go. Let me just get. I've got 2 thumbs up already, which is interesting. Got a bit of like a Karen hairstyle going on at the moment now, but it is what it is. And what it is what it is. Let me just see if I can actually hear this. And what it is what it is. Doesn't seem too bad. Comments slowly coming in. Put the live chat on. We've got Neil, aka Clay Brown, saying good evening. Good evening, Ian. Hope you're doing well. And then we've got James, Mr. Rothwell. Had a brief encounter at Indieman. No problem with sound. Well, that's good. But yeah, I did actually want to do like a live thing for Halloween, or even like a Halloween themed beer week, but it was just, I don't know, couldn't really get hold of any, because it didn't really look, to be honest, Halloween themed beers or horror themed beers or what have you. But yeah, I mean, the video uploaded earlier tonight. Well, it was uploaded yesterday and then went live tonight. It was probably a little bit more Halloweeny than this is, and that wasn't Halloween at all. But that was good. I think that's the only pumpkin beer that I've had this year so far. But comments are coming in thick and fast. Thank you very much. But I thought, yeah, I was in Wigan. Went to because I went to buy this boiler suit because I had the intention of doing a Jason, but no, couldn't find a mask anywhere because I left it pretty much till the day before Halloween. Rushing around Wigan, went to B&Q, picked this up, 17 quid. It's comfy, but it's really fucking warm. I look like an absolute twat in work because the other people who dressed up put loads of effort into their costumes, and then I just look like a car mechanic who's got a little bit of paint on him. I did have my face bloodied slightly, but that was the extent, and I felt like an absolute mug. But it is what it is. It's Halloween, isn't it? So Milo Graham says evening. Good evening. Mosby says good evening. Good evening, Adam. You're early. I know. I was just like sat around and thinking I'm just going to get this started. And then Adam saying hello. Then of course James saying hello. Cheers, my Halloween lollipop, says Paul from PA Brew News. Good evening, sir. Can't think of anything witty to respond to that, but you know the sentiments there. Let's see where we're up to with the comments. And then you're missing out on Top Rope Pumpkin Beer on Saturday. Draft only beer. Ah, very nice. Unfortunately, I'm working on Saturday. James says hello to Adam. No, he says hello to Neil because we've already read that. Did people think you had been demoted to janitor? There were a few jokes about fixing leaks and things like that, but it's better than Boris Johnson. Although I do look like Boris Johnson when he was going around to like different companies trying to get make appearances. Effort is the exact word I think of when I think of you. You know me too well. And Adam say hello. Jagman. Good evening, Jagman. Hope you're well. And yeah, everyone's saying hello to each other. Nobody got anything better to do on Halloween, like watching horror movies, drinking copious amounts of alcohol, and eating copious amounts of god awful sweets. But yeah, I'm not sure how long I'm going to be on for because I am working tomorrow, which is why I'm not doing the full 3 beers in this series. You can see what it's by the thumbnail. But I am working from home because we've got a plumber coming around. I mean, I could do it myself. And the new iPhone's getting delivered, and took a punt on a vintage store mystery box. So we'll see how that turns out. So yeah, I can have a few beers tonight. I've already had a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, which was tasting pretty damn good. All good here. Still hanging from yesterday. Was it a heavy one? Did everyone work ask you to snake their drain? Some people ask me to drain their snakes. Set me up perfectly there. Smoking ribs at the moment. The kids and I are going trick-or-treating in a while. Yeah, we've had a few trick-or-treaters tonight. It did start to piss down, so that deterred them a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I've been trying it these last few years, recapture the spirit of Halloween, but it's just not working. It really, really isn't. It's probably because I'm a lazy fuck and aren't really putting too much effort into costumes and stuff. I've not even really watched too many horror films recently. What did I watch last? Well, I watched Smile, which was all right. Just a classic example of a modern horror, which is just dependent on cheap jump scares. But the concept was interesting, and there were some like genuinely creepy scenes. Then I watched Halloween Ends, which I personally thought wasn't that bad, considering it's the final film of a modern reimagining or whatever. Well, it's not really reimagining because it carries on the lore of Laurie Strode. But I thought it wasn't too bad. There was the main storyline. Won't spoil it if anybody's not watched it yet. The main storyline I thought was really dumb, although it does harken back to a theme in Halloween 4. But yeah, and Michael was hardly in the film, and when he wasn't really that much of a threat, to be honest. The finale was interesting, but I didn't think it was too bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't too bad. What else did I watch? I watched Free of the Devil, the follow-up to Devil's Rejects, which was, again, not too bad. It's not the same without Sid Haig, obviously. Unfortunately, passed away, I think, as they were filming. So Rob Zombie had to sort of like tone that it basically couldn't really show too much. But I thought that was it. It falls on for those sort of like same themes and things. But there was some really shit CGI, which I thought was unnecessary, especially for someone like Rob Zombie. I mean, I know he's not the greatest filmmaker, but he is a man who respects the art and has a good sort of like point of reference. But it's just a class example of let's try and put Sherry Moon Zombie out there, which is not the worst thing. But yeah, that was all right. I need to start watching that Guillermo del Toro series on Netflix because people have said that's pretty good. But yeah, not really watched too much horror, which is strange because when I was doing like all the film stuff back in the day, I was like doing the 24-hour horror film marathons. Then again, you can do a lot with your 24 hours when you're unemployed. But yeah, I didn't really put too much effort in. Let's see. We have had lots. Not sure what that's in relation to. Oh, trick-or-treaters. Neil says, Pete, we'll have to get Adam down and drop into Casa D's Bistro for a cheeky clay brown nano bevies. Sounds good to me, sir. Gary Baldy, evening, says, why is Harry making me watch Ed Sheeran's Albino Doppelganger? Because that's what Harry does, because he's a cunt, but in the best way possible. Bastardization, more like a reimagination. Yeah, does that Halloween franchise need to exist? Do they need to keep churning out films? No. Will they do more? probably. I know Jamie Lee Curtis has said she doesn't want anything else to do with it, but you know, when that comes in and your career is starting to dry up a little bit, then you know the world's your oyster. I just can't believe that Danny McBride, of all people, is involved in that trilogy. But yeah, it's not bad. I mean, the first 3 films for me, fantastic. Took me a long time to really appreciate them because I had this sort of like, oh, I like Giallo films. I don't like slashers because slashers wouldn't exist without Giallo films. I was one of those twats. But the first 2 films, and then Halloween 3, which is a completely different film altogether, I think are just absolutely bang on. Rob Zombie's Halloween films, just too loud, brash, offensive for no reason, but still entertaining. I mean, Udo Kier and Malcolm McDowell in the same film. That's a saving grace. Although, what's her face? That fee, I can't remember. Danielle Harris. It was that For the Love of Horror Con, me and a friend a few weeks ago, and she was there, and she just comes across as an absolute prick, to be honest. But that was pretty cool. I've never been one for horror conventions, but that wasn't too bad. We got to meet the guy who plays as the Terrifier, or Art, the clown from Terrifier, which I've still yet to watch, Terrifier 1 and 2. So I'll have to get around to doing that. In fact, if I don't ramble on for like 4 hours in this live stream, because we've not even introduced the beers yet, then I might watch the first one. I hope Rob Zombie and his wife live a very good life, very good and incredibly short, with a horrible end. Art, life imitates art, going out in the blaze of glory. Well, Neil, now that Wigan Central deliver. Then Martin Vegas. Good evening, my friend. I might watch Rob Zombie's reimagining of the Munsters later on. See, I didn't really grow up watching the Munsters, so I don't have that sort of connection. But I'd be interested to see how he does that, because it's obviously going to be like more toned down. It's a family sort of thing. I'm not sure if he's doing it that way or if it's going to be a Rob Zombie version of that. But yeah, did watch The Strangers the other night at a really shit interactive viewing in like a random nightclub called WAV in Liverpool with my friend. I hate that sort of thing when people are walking around going, woo, because I just don't react to it and it makes me look like a prick. Yes, Adam, Central are now shipping me ale. They are due a stock up. Glad to hear that. Last time I was at Wigan Central, a wake came in. And it was the day that the Queen died. So, yeah, I was just sat on my own. And then a wake comes in and we found out that the Queen, was on a literal deathbed. Season of the Witch, yeah, that's the one. I'm addicted to Paranormal State on Pluto. I'm not too familiar with that. Yeah, Neil Parking, keeping a close eye on the stock. So, yeah. So we've got 2 beers, both from Rivington, part of the Evil Dead trilogy that they've done. The third one is an Imperial Stout with brewed with Track. But we've got Evil Dead 1, brewed with Pomona. And this is a raspberry and blackberry oat IPA. I did have an Evil Dead 2 long sleeve t-shirt, which I picked up from the convention, but it's still wet. So, effort once again. And then we've got Evil Dead 2, which is a double IPA, brewed in collaboration with Chainhouse, who are making waves at the moment. So we'll do them side by side and just drink them as we go on. I'm not going to do them in order. Well, I am, obviously. I'm going to take a sip of this first. So, the first in our Evil Dead 2022 series, in collaboration with our mates at Pomona Island Brew Co., an oat IPA brewed with raspberry puree, blackberry puree, and hopped with mandarin and triumph. So, interesting selection there. I do like me fruited IPAs. As I said, picked these up from Northern Beer Temple in Wigan because I thought I'll do a click and collect order while I'm there. And he was selling the set of this, which also comes with, I might as well just pour the remnants of whatever's in that glass over these overalls. He was selling a set of, you get the 3 beers and then a glass for 22 quid. I think that's like standard rate. I'm not too sure. But yeah, there it is. You can't really see it too much. Don't put your hand in there. It's going to affect the beer. But it's a bit of a busy glass, but I kind of like it. And then you've got the Evil Dead logo-ish there. In terms of the Evil Dead films, going off on another tangent, number 1, for what it was at the time, pioneering. Some genuinely creepy scenes in there. But Evil Dead 2 for me is my favourite out of the original trilogy. Army of Darkness, it's a fun film, but it goes in... I don't like stuff that becomes too kitsch or, I don't know, it's a bit too cheesy, bit too tongue-in-cheek, but still a good film. The remake was meh, and I've not seen Ash versus the Evil Dead yet. I do like Bruce Campbell, though. Let's see. Pluto is a free TV app available on everything. Now it rings a bell. We've got Craig from Kentbury Reviews. Evening, Peter. Great to see you, mate. I just got home from trick or treating for 3 hours. Well, I hope you and Alice had fun. Definitely with what's been going on. I hope it was a nice distraction for you. And especially for Alice, of course. But glad to see you too, sir. Sorry I've missed the last few streams. Just things have been... It's been hectic, but not hectic at the same time. It's just, I don't know. I think head well and truly up my arse these last few weeks, but not in that good way. Not in an OnlyFans, I could make money sort of way. But anyway... We'll crack this one open. So I think the only other I've had because I think, is this the 3rd year that they've done these Evil Dead beers? Because was it last year or the year before? I think it was during one of the lockdowns. I had the Evil Dead 2, which is a double IPA again. I'm not sure if it's a rebrew or what have you, but I'm completely out the loop when it comes to beers nowadays. And beer in the glass, it does look considerably darker, especially because of this glass. But you can definitely tell that it's got the fruit in there, and you can definitely smell it. It's got like it's like you've opened a box of mixed fruit jam tarts. 4 years, Jesus. Yeah, that's what it smells like. It smells like you've opened a box of jam tarts. All the berries. It's got like that kid's like coloured yogurt pot yogurts. Don't know how you describe them. I am getting a bit of peach coming through. Definitely get the raspberry. Does have a little bit of that blackberry there. It's got that sort of like Ribena cordial element to it, but not as like harsh or intense or as concentrated. In fact, in terms of like the adjuncts or the berries, the purees, they really are sort of like stealing the show. It smells good though. It smells very nice, very appetizing. But yeah, oat IPA, so I'm expecting a nice creamy body. Let's see. Yeah, there's no like lactose or anything like that, which is good because I get really bored of lactose in IPAs. Especially when it's too much, it goes into that milkshake sort of IPA territory. Just not my thing at all. but it smells absolutely wonderful. It does smell. It's like got that gold, like sweet short crust pastry. It's got that jam filling. It's a jam tart. It's very much a jam tart. That's what it reminds me of. Anyway, let's give it a taste. Cheers, folks. Oof. Yeah, you're definitely getting that tartness. Not overly tart. It's not like mouth, face puckeringly tart, but almost has like a savoury character to it. It's a little bit of an aftertaste, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm not here for it. Adam says first year Evil Dead sour was just a kettle pastry sour. Second year was same your double IPA. Then last year it was same to then the Impy. This year they changed the recipes. Okie dokie. There's a little bit of sweetness there with this. Not too much though. And in fact, I think maybe a little bit more sweetness would just like lift this beer slightly. I mean, it's not bad, but there's no like vibrancy to it. It's quite like dulled down. It sort of has like a. It's not very IPA like. It is. It's more like a. Because let's face it, a lot of sour beers nowadays aren't really sour. They're just like throw all the fruits in there, lactose, make it creamy. I think you could actually. It would make sense if this was just an all-out sour beer. Because the hops that they've used are not really adding too much to the beer. They're not really complementing the fruit character, and it does have that bit of like synthetic flavour to it. There's this almost ever so slightly like medicinal character, like vitamin tablets dissolved in water. But yeah, I was expecting maybe a little bit more fruitiness, a little bit more vibrancy. But it's not bad, but it's not one you can drink. Well, mind you, do you really want to drink beer too fast anyway? Because Evil Dead 1, I've never been a sour IPA before. Plus, the collabs were just Rivington versus Chainhouse. This year it's others. My reading is terrible, by the way. I should be just reading it from me phone. But then all you'd be seeing is me looking at my phone like that. Well, I think the original Evil Dead was a raspberry and vanilla sour. See, even though I've just said not too long ago that I'm getting bored of stuff like vanilla and lactose in IPAs, maybe that's that one slight component that could, used very slightly, not too much, just to almost like soften it and then add a little bit of sweet vibrancy to it. Really complement those purees. By the way, as I always say in these live streams, if I miss any comments that you've posted, I'm only going off what's showing on the feed for StreamYard. Which when I started this stream, before I went live, for some reason, it preset on a photo of Machiavelli 420, which I was uploaded, and then I'd forgotten I had background saved. So there's one of Seaside Mark as well, sat in his boxes on the couch. I mean, I've not even got like a horror backdrop. Oh, well, I've got a beer fridge. There's a plastic skull. There's two candles which you can't really see, so it's not giving off any sort of atmosphere. There's a little Although this is pretty cool, which I got from the horror convention as well. Got a little yeah, there we go. Little Lego Freddy Krueger. Little cutie. You could sit over there. Picked up a Chucky one as well, but the minifigure didn't have the Chucky hair, so it's just a bald person who looks like Chucky. Can't remember where I've put it. And by the way, before this stream, I thought, because I got surprised, someone got me like a jar of pickling vinegar from Aldi. So I thought, oh, do you know what? I'll just boil some eggs, throw them in there, see what it's like. They were fucking awful. Absolutely fucking awful. And even though I only ate half of one of the boiled eggs and threw the rest away, I've got a feeling tomorrow might not start off in the most pleasant of fashions. But we won't get into that. Good evening, Craig. Certainly is. Like I said, I've not done a live stream for absolutely ages. I've intended to do them, but I've just not got round to it. In fact, I picked this up. I did an unboxing video of me Northern Beer Temple Hall, but Jesus. But I just didn't end up uploading it because I was like, well, why would people be interested in the 6 beers that you picked up? But yeah, so I'm keeping hold of this for a potential installment into the Until the Bitter End series, which I'm sure you're all in beside yourselves that I've not carried that series on. Because it's an extra special bitter at 7% ABV. So it'd be interesting to like put that head to head or have it side by side with either a really established bitter or some other craft bitters. So I need to pick more of them up. Not gonna lie, the more I'm drinking this beer, the less it's doing for me. I mean, Pomona Island, I'm just like, can't remember the last wow beer that I had from them. But Rivington, I think, are wonderful. And if you've not seen it already, Rob from Hopscene did a on location video when we all went to Rivington. It's me, Harry, Adam, Bullman, obviously Rob, and yeah, Chase, the dog, who was the best part of the group. And what a beautiful place Rivington is, or where the brewery is and the tap room. You know, you've got to work to get there though, which sort of like makes it that more satisfying. Beautiful burger that I had. I can't remember what the food place called, and I picked up. It's in the. I'm so happy I've got a beer fridge. It's small, so I can't really get fuck all in there. And I'm swearing a lot. I do apologise, but yeah, I've got like the habanero imperial stout, which I'm just waiting for the right moment to open it. But we shall see. It's really not. I mean, I'll finish it. It's not. It's that point where I'm going to pour it away. But yeah, it's just not too nice. It's not really too pleasant. It's got a weird. There's a weird aftertaste in my mouth. To be fair, and then we've got K-Time, who says hello. Hello, K-Time. Hope you're doing well. Is anybody drinking tonight? Let's get it a little bit more interactive, even though I'm the most socially awkward person you'll ever meet in your life. But yeah, if anybody else is drinking, are you drinking anything Halloween themed? Are you doing anything? Have you got any films that you're going to be watching tonight? you're probably better off watching them than watching this. But this is a horror show in of itself. And yeah, not really been buying too many beers. Drinking Overtone Smash. Is that actually like a Smash beer as well? See, Overtone, I've not had anything for ages from Overtone. James says, got a bottle of Cloudwater further on the go. Is that one of the Imperial Stouts? I picked up a random Cloudwater barrel-aged Impy Stout. When I was out with Adam, we went to Taps and Bottles in Southport, which I've just never opened. Probably save that towards Christmas time. And yeah, I'm doing that thing where I say, I'm gonna drink that around Christmas. Never get around to doing it. Gonna watch an episode of the new Del Toro series. Enjoyable so far. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that. I think like the first 3 episodes are all different, and then the last 3 are all like what's it called? What's that writer called? Cthulhu. Who wrote Cthulhu? But they're all themed. Fucking how can you forget one of the most iconic writers in literacy? Yeah, Lovecraft. There we go. Jesus Christ. A barrel-aged cider lager combo. Like snakebite for hipsters. Isn't that basically dragon soup? That's a very hipster drink now, isn't it? That sounds interesting. You'll have to let me know what that is. Yeah, Lovecraft. Yeah. How could I forget Lovecraft? I've never read any Lovecraft, though. The more I'm getting down to the bottom of that glass, I think the more the actual fruit's coming through. So it's still not the best. Far from the best, actually. IPA that I've had from Rivington. But I'm sure people will like it. Their brewery can't brew every beer that they release, can't be absolutely amazing. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I'd even intended on putting like trailers of Evil Dead throughout this and clips and stuff, although I'll probably get slapped with copyright claims, but I'm not making money from this anyway. Are you planning any more Chris Butty videos? I am. I just need to think of some interest. But to be honest, I have had some suggestions in the comments, and I've always said, "Oh, if you've got one that you'd like me to try, I'll make it." Even like my cousin came up with one with What's It's, which I've just not done. Saturday Night Slice as well. Need to do more on that. I can't remember who it was, but they were asking if I was doing more like clueless eats and clueless eating, which is something, which is a term that I've not used for absolutely ages. So, whoever that was, thank you for reminding me. I do really want it. It's been done countless times before, but like beer snacks, pairing them with beers. But you know exactly what's going to pair well with a beer, don't you? Really. But yeah, excuse me. There will be more. I'll probably wait till. I think it was you, Milo, who actually asked about that a little while ago. But yeah, I think I'll probably wait for videos like that until I get my new iPhone, just because of the camera. And yeah, because as you can clearly see, Angela, though I've got videos that are waiting to be released. The channel's just not really been, and I need to do more film stuff. But yeah, it's just, I think motivation for creating content has dwindled a little bit. Although when I do get around to doing something, I enjoy doing it, and then I like the final result of it. But it's just, I don't know. God, I was like churning out really intricately edited and well thought out like videos on like a weekly basis. But the thing with beer reviews, aside from trying to put as much sort of like information in terms of like links to breweries and places that you bought it and like the artists who have designed cans and all the other people involved in like the collaborative side of stuff, you really don't need to put any effort at all into beer reviews. To the point where it's just like shoot a quick video, throw it up on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? I need to stop saying, do you know what I mean? It's a shame they changed it. The original was really good. What's that in relation to? Yeah, just classic blonde moment there. Sorry, James. Clear Seats is great. My favourite of yours. Well, I do have an idea, but I need to get hold of a pack of Snyder's pretzel pieces because Adam will be, and thank you eternally for this, Adam. I've still got a few bags left. Aldi's own version of Snyder's jalapeno pretzel pieces. Game changer. 69p a pack as well that I got them for. Absolutely beautiful. Zero effort beer reviews, my style. But you're pretty to look at, Paul. Plus, you have literal woods that you could use as your backdrop. Well, mind you, there are some really nice wooded areas in Skelmersdale, but I just might accidentally stand on a heroin needle or something like that. That'd make for an interesting video, though. Snyders are really hard to get at the minute. I found Amazon only has the big bags now. What are the prices like on those big bags? Because I know you've been sharing some absolute premium Enduya listings on Amazon, which I thought I'd be getting bored of using Enduya now, but mate, I've still got like maybe 1.5 more jars of Enduja paste that I picked up from Marks and Spencer's, reduced to £1 a jar. So whenever I do pizza, put a little bit on that. If I've got pasta, put a little bit in there. But yeah, the Snyders, that's ridiculous, isn't it? How they were like in like the random like corner shop on my way to work. But yeah, £7 to £9 for the share bags. Okay. I think I will just wait until but then again, probably by the time I get them, I won't have the Aldi ones. I'll have eaten them. But yeah, and I did find some really nice in Asda as well. If anybody likes scampi fries, there's what's the make called now? They're basically just like posh scampi fries, but not in the same shape as scampi fries. They're like baked crisps as opposed to little parcels. There are other ones in Bargain Booze now. Can't remember the brand name. Okay. I don't really like going to my local Bargain Booze. I don't know why. Just don't know why. But yeah. I keep going on about how I'm not really enjoying Evil Dead 1. But I keep taking sips of it, so it must be, enjoyable to one degree or another. So we'll move swiftly on to Evil Dead 2, brewed in collaboration with Chain House, double IPA, 8% ABV. The second in our Evil Dead 2022 series, a double IPA brewed in collaboration with our mates at Chain House Brew Co., hopped with Galaxy, Nelson Sauvin, and Idaho 7, which, Adam, pull your pants down. We've got some Idaho 7. So yeah, the other Evil Dead 2 that I've had, I think it was even like for that year, my beer of the year. It was just absolutely spot on. Bald Foodie Guy. I've been really obsessed with free food related channels recently. And if you're not already subscribed to them, I think you really should. Bald Foodie Guy, and of course, the Staying In in, or he's got another name for his beer review channel. Just Dino and Chris the Butcher. That's pretty much what I watch on YouTube now. And thank you to Justino, I've discovered that Asda's Just Essentials sausages are absolutely fantastic for what they are. It depends how you cook them, though. And they do tend to taste like a lot of things, I find, taste a bit better cold. But yeah, I loved this beer last year. Have you bought any of them this year, Adam? Or have you had any of them this year? Really intrigued at what the Imperial Stout's going to be like. Chainhouse Stout Brew to open next year. They moved to bigger premises a couple of weeks ago. Nice. Yeah, they've been getting a lot of buzz from what I've seen on social media. Especially Instagram. And I think they've been doing a lot of collabs recently as well. Loved Eve Dad 2. Had it the weekend. Still great. Anyone coming to Manchester for the Sure Shot opening? Oh God, John from Northern Beer Temple was talking about that. Or was it Rob from the legend that is Rob from Hopsy? But I'd be interested in going to Sure Shot. Did I pick up another Sure Shot? I think I picked up a few beers from Sure Shot. Because I'm a lager whore, picked that up. So looking forward to that. And, oh yeah, this one. Even though, not going to lie, Verdant, the way they've handled, or the way they sometimes talk to customers, and that, not the biggest fan of. I'm not going to completely boycott a brewery though. But then again, Adam, due to an experience that Adam had with Runaway, my opinions of them have changed slightly. But yeah, pick this up. Even Tim the Human Shark needs water. So yeah, looking forward to that. Because the last few cans of like pales and IPAs that I've had from Sure Shot didn't really do much for me. But I think that's because, and I bring this point up in like 90% of my beer reviews, I just get a bit bored. I get a bit bored of like hazy, soft, fruity IPAs and pales. There's just, I don't know, it'd be, mind you, how could you document it? How many of those beers get released? New beers like that get released on a weekly basis. And you do get a little bit of like hop burnout. But yeah, I would like to go to a Sure Shot Tap Room. I also need to, what's that brewery called, Adam? The one that's, is it in Hindley? Because we were talking about it where we're making an ale trail. So there are a couple of places that I do really want to go to. But yeah, not sure. I'm sure the comments will tell me when it is open. But yeah, that'll be good. Very good indeed. Benjamin says, Halloween, this is definitely your night. Certainly is. Although I'm not the best celebrator of Halloween these past few years. Not for like any sort of like tragic reasons or anything like that. It's just if it's a full moon, I become a cunt. Let's see. No, I'm getting a Trembling Madness voucher for my birthday the weekend. We'll hopefully get them then. Okay, fair dues. I could do with beer vouchers for Christmas. I'm going to wait until near Christmas to go, as North Tap Room in Manchester is also opening before the end of the year. I was thinking about that. I think earlier today. Don't know why, but I was thinking. I remember hearing that North were opening up in Manchester, so that'll be interesting. So Adam, I'd be up for that. That sounds good to me. And then State of Kind, Ashton and Makerfield. Yeah, but it'd be interesting to see how they do, because I'm not sure if they've got like names behind them, um, or who is involved in that. I wouldn't know some of the biggest breweries because I just don't really seem to get involved in that side of things. Like someone could throw a name at me like, "Oh, such and such is brewing for XYZ now." I'm like, "All right, yeah." Alan Partridge face. Um, but yeah, forgot what we were talking about. Anyway, let's move on to the next beer. The only other Rivington glass I have is a really small one. So we're going to have to use, keeping it the same sort of style of glass, Adam's favourite style of glass, the Tubo. Got Black Lodge, who that subscription that I've been getting, it's nice to have steady amounts of beer in the fridge, but I'm not getting half as much merch as I thought it would be. That's not the important thing. It's the beers, obviously, but yeah, I'm drinking a lot of. Well, mind you, I say a lot. I've not really been to Black Lodge for ages, but once this year of beers finished, I'll have a 20% off thing every time I visit the tap room, because we all know I'm there on a weekly basis. So anyway, moving on to Evil Dead 2, and tell you what, looking damn fine, looking thick. Head dissipated really quite quickly, so it's just a lining of a white head. But look at that. It's obviously because the camera quality and lighting isn't that good. It does dull down the colours and distort them slightly. But that is just like a nice, vibrant, sort of like custardy, lemony yellow. Let's see. There is a glass I hate more than Tubo. Micro Tubo is worse. Oh, those ones that are like that big. I mean, was it Neon Raptor who had the ones that were like basically big petri dishes? See, I've not had a Neon Raptor beer for ages. Don't think I've really see. There's so many breweries nowadays that I've just not had. I've not had Black Iris for a long time. Track. The only other track beers I've had was the last ones we had was when we were in Manchester after Indie Man. Yeah, I've just, to be honest, I have been buying a lot more stuff in the supermarkets. Excuse me. New Red Ale and ESB coming out for Black Lodge cans, hopefully. Now, if they were included in my next box, a Red Ale and an ESB, then I'd be happy days. But what did I get? I got a double IPA, got a pale ale, and then I got that green tea and mango ale, which I'm just like, just not for me. That I'll still drink them, and I've not done a Black Lodge review for ages either. So, because I never know if I've reviewed it already, but I still do like Black Lodge. But yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the beer in question. Looking fantastic, as a lot of beers like this tend to do. And I did tell you, selection of Black Lodge subscription wouldn't vary. You certainly did. Especially, it doesn't help that I've also on, because you had like the option to put in like requests and stuff. Said, don't want as many sour beers. They still come through. I've still got that like pineapple goes, and there's like a blackberry and raspberry sour beer as well. So I could do a live stream just looking at a few Black Lodge beers, just get them drank, save doing like full on reviews of them. Benjamin says, "Are you off work tomorrow?" No, but I'm working from home because we've got a plumber coming round, which can't be arsed with that. But to make up for it, got the iPhone 14 Pro Max coming. Still waiting for, well, I only just ordered my new SIM card today. Going to have to cancel my contract with the phone I already have. Should have done it earlier because I'm probably going to pay for an extra month even though I'm not going to use it. And I've also dropped 60 quid on a vintage shop, the vintage shop mystery box, like a workman's, Carhartt workman's / box. So we'll see how that is, because I've always wanted a Carhartt like sweatshirt or jacket, but the Carhartt's so expensive. So to potentially get 2 pieces of Carhartt clothing for 60 quid, I mean, that could potentially be at least 1 winter jacket sorted. But I don't think too many people are interested in that. If you've ever been to the vintage store, the vintage shop in Liverpool, which opened earlier this year, very, very expensive. Very expensive. That's the problem with like vintage clothes shops nowadays. Because so many people have got into the whole vintage secondhand clothing stuff, shops and websites know exactly what they're selling and they know exactly what they can make. But yeah, I miss getting like cool, weird sweatshirts, members only bomber jackets, which you never really see nowadays for some reason. You don't even really see many sort of like French Navy chore style jackets. Loads of basketball ones, and obviously Carhartt's always popular. But it just is what it is. So I'm working from home, so I might have another beer after this. We shall see. That pineapple and habanero one is probably the worst beer they've produced. The dark berry one is quite nice. I had 1 can of it, and I didn't mind it. I liked the bite at the end, because I didn't realise it was habanero. I thought it was just going to be like a really overly sweet pineapple sour beer, but quite enjoyed the can that I had, so I should really do a review of that one. Work from home is still a thing. Sweet, I'm a security guard and can't work from home. Unless you're, on site at your own home, looking after your own home security. Yeah, that does pose a problem from home working. Where I work now, maybe I will move to better climes, greener grass on the other side in the next year or so, better pay. We shall see. It's one of those things. I've become a bit too comfortable. I don't hate my job, but I'm just like, is this really me? Not to throw shade on people who work there, but I'm like, is this really what I should be doing for my mid-30s? Because it's essentially, and there is a chance people from work might be watching this, but let's be honest, the job I have, without going into details of what I do or who I work for, it's one of those jobs that you get when you're 16 or 18 while you're waiting to start uni. I pretty much only went for that job because I came back from Germany and I was the prospect of going back on the dole, no thanks. So it was one of those things where I thought, it's customer service. And I suffer terribly with my social anxiety. I'm very socially awkward. I'm no good at small talk or anything like that. And I thought I'll last a few weeks at most, and they'll turn around and say, this isn't really for you. Almost 5 years, and I'm still there. Great people, met some great people. Not the best paid job, but I could be getting paid much worse or a slight bit more for doing more actual work. Because it's not really physical at all. So I shouldn't really complain. And to be honest, with the last few years that we've had, I shouldn't complain about having a job. End of. But, you will complain about a job. But yeah, we've been doing a lot of remote working, so they are quite flexible. But I needed to work from home tomorrow, and they said, yeah, no worries. And I work most Saturdays from home as well. So got the spam comments coming in, but we'll look at this. Yeah, I work from home 2 days a week. Yeah, I should really be working in the office at least 2 days a week, but I do Monday because I have Thursdays off unless every 6 weeks I have the weekend off. But it's just so much easier for me to work in the office because the internet throughout Skem is wank. Where I live specifically, mobile network is shit, doesn't matter who you're with. Broadband is shit, doesn't matter who you're with. So it's an absolute nightmare. Plus, we have to use our own phones. And the iPhone, even though I'm getting a brand new one tomorrow, the iPhone doesn't really. Well, most mobile phones can't withstand that much use. So I try and work from home as little as possible. But if I need to be home for like a delivery or something like that, then they'll be okay 9 times out of 10. The problem is hipsters. That's the problem. I think you can say that for a lot of things. Benjamin, can you imagine if you did and they gave you control of a drone with a beanbag gun turret? Now that would be fun. That would be like that scene from the Dawn of the Dawn of the Dead remake, where they're on the rooftops sniping zombies that look like celebrities. I've been in my job 8 years and I'm very comfortable. It's been steady and easy enough. Now, one of the supervisors got promoted to the supervisor of the supervisors, and he's turned into a hypocrite. Well, that's the thing. You give the wrong people a little bit of power, and they become absolute arseholes. And then we've got what's that? 69xxx.site. Have a good time. Find your love. Have a good time. Find your love. Have a good time. Find your love. Dickhead determined to think how to make everyone else's life miserable. It's just full of old people waiting to retire now. Too scared to leave. I am one of the only young people. Yeah, same here. I mean, there's a lot of younger people in where I work, but there's also a lot of older people, to be honest. Let's see. Evening, mate, says else. Evening. Hope you're doing well. Need a spanner, D-lad. Yeah. Everyone gets a spanner. Can you do spanners through StreamYard, or is that just a YouTube exclusive thing? Got to get off, Peter. Good to see you back. Nice to see you, James. And hopefully we'll have a proper drink in Manchester soon. Get something sorted. But yeah, have a good evening, my friend. It's because your nearest exchange is Wigan or Ormskirk. So you're stuck between a rock and hard place. Yep, LOL, says Kent Beer Reviews, Craig. No, you have to log on to YouTube on your phone. Okay. I don't like doing lives on YouTube through my phone because the comments are just not that good. I'm sure it's improved, but anyway, we've got another beer to drink, so let's give it a taste. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's much more like it. Oh, you sent you a dead border beans like this. But every now and then you get one and it's just... Lovely body on that one. Oh, smooth as silk. See, I know I go on about how much I don't like Nelson. But if it's used correctly and it's blended with specific hops, that slight, like, drying grape musky character works really, really well. But then again, I've had some Nelson Sauvin single hop beers that taste completely different to what I don't like about Nelson Sauvin. So, oh, but this is good. It's a little bit dry on the back end. Not abundantly sweet. Galaxy Nelson and Idaho 7. It's definitely got a savoury edge to it, but it's not like overly dank. Idaho 7 saves all hops, including Nelson. That could be very true. Could be very true. Yeah, there's definitely like a savoury character to this. And I like that when I get that in my IPAs. Now, I wouldn't even be able to, like, think what the other Evil Dead 2 tasted like. But there's something inside me, something inside so strong, that's telling me that I don't think this, for me this year, is reaching those highs of the other Evil Dead 2 that I had. I mean, when I had that, it was my beer of the year. Having this now, it's really good. Rivington and Chainhouse, absolutely smashing it. But this probably wouldn't be in my sort of like top 10. It could be potentially in the top 10. It would be in the top 5. And it wouldn't be in contention to be the best beer that I've had this year. But then again, you could ask me that question now, and I give you a list. But like when it comes to like Golden Pint season, that sort of thing, you could ask me like each month what my favourite beers of the year were, and the list would probably change drastically. That's the thing with loaded questions. Like, is it a loaded question? It's not really a loaded question, but you know what I mean. It's damn good though, very, very good. Compared to this, interesting, very interesting. I think like the sort of like the oily hop residue on my palate after taking a sip of that blends nicely with this, but then the aftertaste comes in. It's the aftertaste with this one. Really not a fan. Really not a fan at all of that. Don't want to pour it away though. I mean, I know real men chug, obviously, but yeah. So last year's Evil Dead 2 was the second best Rivington beer I've ever had. What's been your best Rivington beer? I was tempted to pick up the red ale that they did because it was really cheap on Northern Beer Temple. But I'm sure you've mentioned that red ale that they've done, and you said it wasn't. I can't remember. I'm probably completely misremembering there. But yeah, it's really not doing it for me, this, at all. And I think what it might actually lead me to do is to actually crack open the Imperial Stout that they brewed with track. It's Halloween. Do you know what I mean? Or do I have another beer that I could open? I do have a coffee stout from Rivington. But then again, I like to do proper reviews of coffee-based beers. I'm intrigued. I do have Death Star Episode 3, which I could crack open. I've got a bottle of the Chocolate Mint Imperial Stout from Vocation. Or do I be sensible and not crack open another beer and just savour Evil Dead 2? Original Blood Moon, the rebrew wasn't good. Blood Moon, I remember that one. I remember the name at least. Did I have that one? When did you have that one? Was that one of those ones that we got when they were doing like Crowler cans? I'm conflicted. Which Rivington coffee stout? They varied the coffee in Void Space Stout. Where is it? Where is it? I obviously got a can of Heathen while I was in Wigan as well, Wigan Tesco's. It might actually be in the beer fridge. I don't know. I really don't know. Oh, there it is. Thrilling viewing for you all. Oh, I dropped a bottle. Yeah, the bottle nearly fell off. I've still got all those Belgian beers from. Oh, mind you, I have Belgian beer in the fridge. I might top them even off with because I've got no reason to drink. So this is the one that I've got, which is obviously Blossom Coffee Roasters, and the coffee is Brundy Nemba. For this version of Void Space Ratio, the guys at Blossom Coffee Roasters selected Nemba beans from Brundy, giving notes of blood orange, florals, and blackcurrant to complement this coffee stout. So that's one that I have. Well, I'm still interested in doing maybe reviewing a few of them on a live stream if you're interested. African coffee, then. Evidently so. I don't know what my reaction then was. Sorry, a little bit dismissive, Adam. I do apologise. This isn't being in the fridge, but I'm very tempted to open it. But I can't be like Paul and drink warm lager. The chocolate cake imperial stout does look good, doesn't it? Decisions. But again, this is a coffee beer as well, so I don't know. I really don't know. It's always Blossom Coffee, but the very okay, fair dues. Bear with me one sec. I'm just going to have a look in the beer fridge. Shouldn't be too long. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. I did end up pouring the raspberry and other IPA. Just wasn't doing anything for me. This, however, is rather nice. So I have actually opted, just because I can get another can of this really easily, Death Star Episode 3. And I'm sure I've had this before. Have they? Is it a different recipe? Or was it Death Star Part 2? That was the... Obviously, it's the previous one, because 1, 2, 3. But, yeah, I don't know if this is actually new. Whether it's a rebrew or it's just they keep brewing it. But it's a Dulce de Leche. Leche. I've lifted 8 of Scotland's historic manhood stones, says Simon Wynne. Brewed in the north with Simon Wynne, Brethren number 054. Chocolate caramel sweet. Yeah, we'll go for that one anyway. Episode 3 is new, different adjuncts. Okay. Fair dues. Fair dues. Oh yeah, it's absolutely tasty, this. I tell you what beer I was very surprised by. By the way, I took the overalls off because I'm fucking boiling. I've got my Friday the 13th t-shirt on. Getting a bit too close to my crotch. Go back up there, you dirty bastards. Could I say that in a more camp fashion? I don't know. But just quickly checking my texts. Apologies about this. Anyway. Not really had too much Northern Monk stuff either. I used to go on and on about Northern Monk. Not really had too many Patrons Project beers. I don't know, I've just not really got in, like, made any notable beer hauls. The only time I really buy in the last few months is if I'm already out with people and we go to like a tap room and you've got a beer fridge, that sort of thing. But yeah, I bought a few things when we were at Cloudwater, which were really good. That barley wine was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, because I'm not the greatest conversationalist, if anybody's got any horror films that they'd like to hear my thoughts and opinions on, let's keep it Halloween related. Then I'll be more than happy to give my expert film buff opinion. Yeah, this is damn good. I have a side-by-side idea that we'd need to do in person. I have Death Star 2 and 3 and North Star 2 and 3 and Stranic. Oof. That sounds like a challenge. How you can keep hold of beers like that, I will never know. I don't know. I don't drink much. Maybe I'm just not buying as much now, but I run dry so often. Take that how you will. I don't know. It's just beer just doesn't seem to last when it comes to me. And how many times going to go? I don't know. I don't know. Interesting. I was going to get an art print that I picked up from that Horicon, but because I've not got any pants on underneath these overalls, and they don't really stay up well, so I'm not going to stand up. Maybe I'll pick it up in a little bit. It's called Impulse Control. LOL, these North Stars have probably been in there a year. Fair dues, yeah, I do just like random. If I'm off Thursday afternoon, oh, it's 12 o'clock, I'll just have a random beer. What else did I get? I also bought like a replica one sheet poster of Dawn of the Dead, but I just can't find a frame. I don't really want to have one delivered because it could easily get smashed. I don't really want to go out, and because obviously I don't drive, use public transport because I could easily smash it. But I don't want to be that person who like asks someone, "Oh, can you give me a lift here?" Because I'm just not that sort of person, really. Yeah, North Star. North Star. I remember North Star. I don't think I've had Stranic though. What is that? Is that one of the supermarket Northern Monk beers? I've not had Faith. Well, I've never really had Faith. But I've not had Faith for a long time. Tell you what, that'd be a perfect Christmas mini keg. But I think, can't believe we're talking about Christmas and Halloween is still happening today. But I think I'm definitely going to treat myself to Sonoma mini keg, mini cask, whatever. Interesting. There is an Ormskirk. There is a home shop in Ormskirk, in the little arcade bit. Yeah, I do need to get myself a proper frame for me Dawn the Dead poster. But to be fair, talk about impulse buying. There's really nowhere space-wise that I could actually hang it. But it's a gorgeous piece. It's not an original poster because God knows how much they go for. But for the size and the quality of like not just the finish on the print, but also like the paper stock, absolutely wonderful. That's some great posters. Some absolutely great posters. Morrison's, but the ABV has changed. Okay. So have they lowered it or have they raised it or where is it you can get polys now? See, I'm so out the loop. I don't know where supermarket beers are. Um, Probably treat myself more towards Christmas time to like a big fuck off special beer hall. Get some, nice pricey treats, which I won't do because money doesn't really go too far. Yeah, it was 12%. Now is 11%. Have you had the Polly's, Morrison's, and M&S? Okay, fair dues. Doubt they'll have them in the Allskirk Morrison's. Might have them in, mind you, the Marks and Spencers on Robin Park. Very sparse. Although you can actually get Lost and Grounded. Which nobody really buzzes over Lost and Grounded anymore, do they? Even though Keller Pills was like top tier. But yeah, I've not had anything from New Barnes recently. I love New Barnes. Don Zoko, not had anything from Don Zoko. Love Don Zoko. Didn't even have anything from Don. Or did I have some from Don Zoko? No, I don't think I had anything. Indie Man from Don Zoko. Which I was talking with John about Indie Man. And we came to the conclusion that Indie Man is actually a really poorly planned beer festival. It's a great beer festival. I had loads of fun with Craig, Adam, Rob, and Becky. It was nice to meet Becky. Very jealous that she's got a Brooklyn Brewery t-shirt. Smart, that Brooklyn Brewery t-shirt. I don't think either her or Rob is watching this right now. But yeah, I tell you what, I was very impressed with that dark ale with the coffee liqueur. What a combination that was. I need to buy some semi-decent coffee liqueur to make concoctions like that. I've never had an espresso martini before. I don't really do cocktails. Who was I talking to? I mean, I bought like that bottle of Maker's Mark. I bought a bottle of Dead Man's Fingers. Is it Dead Man's Fingers? Spiced rum. Because I was like, this idea of, oh yeah, I'll build up a little collection of spirits for when I want to dabble. I just very rarely fucking drink spirits. So I don't know why I waste money on them. I actually still have quite a fair bit of port left as well, which is going to needs to be drank, or maybe waste it all and make a luxurious, velvety, rich, intense gravy. But then again, I'm like, I can't justify it because for some reason, my cooking has gone absolutely terrible. God, I don't half sound Jewish. That's a joke, by the way. Pool party. The Aldi knockoff is apparently not terrible. Okay. Halburns has Dead Man's Fingers super cheap right now. Things like 12 or 14. That's pretty damn good. Can't remember how much I paid for my bottle. Picked up from Morrison's. Port make cheeky Vimto. I haven't had a cheeky Vimto for years. Absolute years. I think because I've got my work's Christmas party coming up. Obviously around Christmas. So I'll probably dabble in the spirits there. But hopefully I won't be tempted by that white powder. Can't believe that. I can't believe it was a workplace Christmas party that introduced me to the absolute letdown that is cocaine. Don't do it, kids. It's a shit drug. Just get stoned. Although, no, actually, do you know what? I'm going to say it. Do coke. Do loads of coke. More people need to do coke because the fact that the police are deciding to really clamp down on people who want to partake in it every now and then, taking that more seriously than like unscrupulous characters who are selling stuff that's cut with God knows what chemicals. Can't arrest too many people, can they? But anyway, we won't get into a drug discussion. I've been trying to drink more alcohol-free beers recently. Had the Leffe 00, Budvar, Holy Faith. I'd be interested to see how both Leffe and Budvar taste in alcohol-free. I've still got from about half a year ago a can of you can't see into the fridge at all. I could be lying. Yeah, I've still got a can of Punk IPA, alcohol-free, which is fucking awful, by the way. Shock horror, alcohol-free beer is awful. Although, you will see that I've got a Stoop beer label on the beer fridge. I hate when people like show off like, well, I've got a beer fridge actually, and yeah, we keep that. Well, I had to modify the temperature of my beer fridge because I want my beers to be at that optimal level of 3 degrees, and it's like, just does it keep it cold? But yeah, Stoop. I'll happily admit it. When I first heard of Mash Gang, it was the same reaction that I had with Thick Sauce. And I was like, I can't be arsed with this hipster metal company owned by people with sleeve tattoos trying to be cool. So that's like my cultural snobbishness coming through. Because Stoop was actually, you wouldn't think it was an alcohol free. And it was a revelation. Am I going to spend loads of money buying alcohol free beers? Fuck no. That's like paying $25 a month for an OnlyFans page where you still have to pay extra to see the good stuff. It's pointless. Gets you nowhere. Let's see. Leffy bottles annoy me. They are 225ml bottles. Why? Why would that be an idea? Exactly. Why would you want less? And it's alcohol free? Sounds ridiculous to me. I'm contemplating buying a beer monster, a degree draft Sonoma at home, 4 degree, 4 degree draft Sonoma at home seems very attractive for 120 quid. What is a beer monster? That sounds fantastic. Is that like something that you can like easily straight out of the box hook up to a mini keg? Because I would say I want something like that for the bar outside, but even this summer, we didn't use the outside bar at all. And it annoyed me because my younger brother like came up to me and was like, "Oh, do you know what we should have done during summer? Put the telly outside and had FIFA tournaments with friends." And I'm like, "Why didn't we do that? That would have been wonderful." I really enjoyed Mash Gang's Extra Pale Ale. See, I will try more Mash Gang stuff, but I just don't really want to go out of my way to buy alcohol-free beers. I don't know what it is. It's a terrible mindset to have, but I just can't be bothered with them 9 times out of 10. Mini keg enclosure that has a handle and you can control the temperature within certain limits. Let's not go too crazy. That's like the one thing that I've been looking for. Because I was like looking at all these things like, oh, just buy a fridge and like hollow it out. I don't want to buy a fridge and hollow it out. I don't want to do hard work. But that sounds wonderful. I would have got the bus for FIFA tournaments outside with Impy Stouts. Do you know what? We'll do it next summer. Well, hopefully I'll have my own place by then. It does my fucking head in. Still living at home at my age. But circumstances brought me to this point. Got a roof, as Seaside Mark says, got a roof over my back. Roof over my head, clothes on my back, and I've got 600 quid's worth of meat from the butchers. So sometimes I stink of fish, sometimes I stink of shit. And I've actually started to introduce friends to the lore of Seaside Mark. And I've probably said this story before, but it's a story that has haunted me, yet amuses me. But if anyone's familiar with Seaside Mark, he's got a condition called fish otter syndrome, TMAU. He was diagnosed with it by Sheffield University in 2005. But no, when Seaside Mark farts, he likes to say, "Ooh, sniff that." And I walk into the toilets in work, start to relieve myself in the urinal, let out a little fart, and say out loud, "Oh, sniff that." I then hear in the cubicle behind me the shuffling of a belt as it's being pulled up the legs of the person on the toilet. And then I continue to walk out as quickly as possible. Do you fancy a cheeky bet on which day his Mark will break his dry November? Tomorrow? Tomorrow, or at least Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. I'm going to say Thursday. I don't know what I'm going to bet. Don't know how much money I'm going to bet. But yeah, I'm going to say Thursday. Just bear with me one sec. Being asked if I want to go to a drive to the nearest Asda. No. Let's see. Saturday the 5th. Bonfire. Yes. Because, mind you, he would never say this, but I'd like to think he would. Such and such are doing a firework display. And what he'll do is he'll end up having beers before he goes. And then when he comes back after shooting some live streams or videos, he'll come back and then he'll drink more. And then next thing we know, he'll be having technical problems with Bluetooth. And yeah, bonfire night. I think you've nailed it there, Adam. I think we need to get in touch with Skybet. Let them research Sea Slime Mark, watch his videos over the space of a month, and yeah, he is his own sport, and it's wonderful. But we're going to crack on to Death Star Episode 3, and because I am an ignorant person from Skelmersdale, I have to research what dulce de leche. I've probably not said that properly. Okay, interesting. Dulce de leche, also known as caramelized milk or milk jam in English, is a confection from Latin America prepared by slowly heating sugar and milk over a period of several hours. Interesting. I mean, the images look absolutely wonderful, don't they? Anyway, he was supposed to take October off the booze. And more like Guy Fawkes gave us our freedom to drink and some other incorrect bollocks. Italian caramel dessert sauce, says Adam. Latin American. I always thought it was Italian. Every day is a school day. Exactly. David Icke told me about that, lads. I love Boris Johnson. I don't know why he's got an obsession with Boris Johnson. But anyway, can I just say, though, He's probably long since deleted the video, but he was in Asda and he was looking for was it like cream cakes? Didn't have any, so he started to devour a 2 pack of chocolate eclairs. He did a dance, and it's the fact that he was laughing at himself. The reason why I found that so funny, and I must have watched that clip about 50 times that late evening, and it was almost like he was a normal person breaking character, and it was up there with some of my favourite Seaside Mark moments. So there we go. Looking very nice, as you would expect. Northern Monk know how to brew good imperial stouts. Oof. Oh yeah, right. I'll just put that up for people to read as I read it. One day, Seaside Mark will end with police raiding his house, and he will be arrested on a live stream. Yes, sort of like Brian Harvey. Seaside Mark is like Brian Harvey, which he did he did videos like recently of him in a car. I thought he's like, I didn't realize he still had his car. I thought like, I don't know why. I just thought he like either got rid of his car because he can't technically drive, and he's always like having to sell his technology for money. Like, why can't he just sell his car that he can't drive because he doesn't have a license? But apparently, because he's waiting for his license, he can drive. I don't know. Seaside Mark's like track record with cars has always intrigued me. Always intrigued me. Now, he rented that car. He said he surrendered his license, but that was clearly a lie with no license. Could you imagine being in a car with Mark? Oh, this is a very intriguing Imperial Stout, by the way. I've never had Dulce de Leche before. I don't know how I would, can't speak. I don't know how I would describe this aroma. It reminds me of like cubes of toffee. There's a little bit of Werther's original, which it blew my mind when I realised that we've been saying that wrong because it's actually a German company and it's called Werther's Original, not Werther's Original. Probably one of the most iconic television adverts of all time. Tory, Tory condensed milk. I absolutely love it. I actually matched, and I'm currently messaging a rather staunch anti-Tory on Tinder, and even though I'm probably not as vocal with my distaste to the Tories, which I do have a very strong distaste to the Tories, kind of bullshitted a little bit, but she's rather attractive, so. little small white lie won't harm anyone. It won't blossom into anything aside from just a few messages over a period of a few days. That's who I was messaging there. But we do have a rather. Why the fuck am I talking about this? We do have a rather intriguing mutual taste in music, so that's always a good sign. But anyway, I digress. That's lovely. I think I've had all 3 Death Stars now, and they've been consistently nice. I still think my favourite ever, if we're gonna talk about supermarket craft beer, I think my favourite ever supermarket stout has been that Brewdog versus Evil Twin Nitro Imperial Stout. But this is damn good. This is very damn good. Yeah, it's very sort of like a toffee-like. I'm friends with a Tory councillor and a Labour trade union regional representative. I'm for both the death penalty and universal healthcare. Exactly. I mean, not to get too bogged down into politics, but I, for one, was not upset that Rosie Cooper stood down. Does one agree with death threats against an individual? I doth not. I think that's an absolute shithouse technique. But yeah, I don't know. It's like scam's one of those unique sort of situations where we've been in a Labour, you could say stronghold, or you could say stranglehold for years now. But could you imagine Skelmersdale as part of a Conservative constituency? I, for one, cannot. But the thing that annoys me about Skem when it comes to politics, a lot of independent political parties and councillors have a lot of their ideals overtake rational thought. I really need someone like Hugh to discuss. I think because Hugh's a staunch trade unionist, which there's nothing wrong with that. If I will happily support nurses who go on the picket line. I've been in full agreement with Royal Mail over their strike action. Does it complicate my job a little bit with moany people who should have, I was going to say should have passed away years ago, but that's a terrible thing to say. Yeah, close-minded people. And I actually, as much as it disrupted, I have so much respect for the bus drivers when they went on such a prolonged strike. And I think that's wonderful. I think the demands are never obscene. Do you know what I mean? It's just better pay, better conditions. But then, oh yeah, but train drivers are paid such and such amount. It's yeah, but train drivers have to watch people jump in front of their trains. All it takes is one piece of miscommunication within the whole rail network, and you've got a disaster on your hands. You've got death, basically. So yeah, I think train drivers, bus drivers, postal workers, nurses, doctors, lawyers. Imagine lawyers. There's obviously going to be good lawyers, but when you're in a job where you have to defend because you're paid to do so the most reprehensible people in society. I don't know that, but it's a job, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's like, oh wow, you're going to disrupt my life a little. But if you're fighting for better working conditions, I don't care what job really that it is, should do it. How have we gone from Halloween beers to trade union? Anyway, anyway, this is a good beer. Doesn't really fall into the horror side of things, but Star Wars, it's a cult classic. Funko Pops, terrible post-millennia films. Can we just agree that every Star Wars film directed since Disney got involved, since Disney bought the franchise, have been fucking awful and take every modicum of what made Star Wars the franchise that it was. The prequels are nowhere near as shite as all of these like TV shows and films that they're churning out. Although I do still want to watch The Mandalorian because the bounty hunters in the Star Wars universe have always intrigued me. And then of course there's like is it Django or Boba Fett Diaries? I can't remember. He's just gone on about how much he hates modern Star Wars licenses, and he can't even remember most stuff. But you know what I mean? It's just like the way the Marvel and DC cinematic universes have just become. We can make these multi-billion-dollar grossing franchises. Usually, films would take years to produce, but obviously, as technology grows and like special effects and things like that, there just doesn't seem like any time and care put into these franchises because it's all like easy money. And the fact that you can watch like two Avengers films from 7 years ago, and then this like one spin-off film comes out 4 years afterwards. But no, don't watch that. You have to watch the series on Hulu, Netflix, whatever, which is another spin-off. But the character from this spin-off makes a pivotal appearance in this series. So watch like the first two Avengers films. Don't watch the third Avengers film. You have to watch this really badly written TV show to get context of a character who appears in this or who has. It's people just can't understand that these well written, well loved, like, is artful a word? I don't know, but if it's not, it should be. These like original like comic books, graphic novels from since they were first published to stories as they go on, like Killing Joke with Batman. It's like so uninspired and just we can make money from this and fools will fall for it. And I think, right, if you like the sort of like Avengers films of the last 10, 20 years, you're not a proper Avengers fan of the people who have followed those comics, have gone through years of these comics being produced. I don't know, it just really does my head in. The whole superhero thing, I don't know. I don't. It just. It's a bit wank. It really, really is. But they do a series of Swamp Thing, which is a genuinely interesting and fun property, and then cancel it after the first series because there's no iconography like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Iron Man. I don't know, I just like Spawn has probably been one of the best sort of like comic book related film adaptations. Punisher, I loved the Punisher films. I won't lie, I've not really read too many Punisher comics or graphic novels or collections of stories of the Punisher, but I like that side of stuff because that's just my preference. I don't like characters who like shoot lasers from their eyes, or I can create a gust of wind that'll blow my enemies away. I like that idea that the Punisher is he's just a normal guy. He witnesses his like family getting killed. Doesn't have any sort of like superpowers. He's just a man who just doesn't give a shit anymore and just wants to dish out justice and punish people who've done wrong. Uh, let's see. It's a bit of political talk here, so we'll go for some northern political conversation. Problem is, Labour have chosen a moron to replace her instead of Andy Burnham, who is running again for mayor instead of MP. See, I like Andy Burnham. Some of his views and comments and things he proposed about the NHS don't really agree with, but I think he's. But then again, and it's such a such an ignorant general statement, but most politicians do my head in. And I think a lot more people should like take their local independent councillors, representatives a lot more seriously because they have they have like their constituents' interests at heart, but they'll never get the amount of votes to make a difference because let's face it, a lot of people nowadays are, well, my family's always voted Labour, so I'm going to vote Labour. Or my family's always voted Conservatives, I'm going to vote Conservatives. It's like this. We've got these options, but it's a two-party like shit show all the time. It really, really is. And as a northern working class person, the person who should be representing me is Keir Starmer, Sir Keir Starmer. Just because he's Labour doesn't mean he represents me. Do you know what I mean? It's utterly farcical, the system we have. These conversations always just end up being about politics. Southport was a Liberal Democrat stronghold for years until Nick Clegg bugger up because turn them to blue. Yeah, very true. That was when Nick Clegg was around, because I was in university at the time, so I succumbed to the Liberal Democrats' charms. So I thought, you know what? This is the one mainstream moment in history where voting for a mainstream party would make an actual difference. And then he went into coalition with two polar opposites. Do you know what I mean? Insane. It was insane. He was a farmer. Farmers hate everyone. That's very true. And I've lost my comments. Here we go. I will remind you that when they cancel a train, you need to go for leaves on the line. That's very true. Yeah, the Star Wars films were dreadful, but the Mandalorian and Star Wars stories were brilliant because Favreau and Fellini partnership just let them make the movies. Yeah, I have heard that viewpoint a lot from people who appreciate Star Wars more than I do, obviously. I like the films and the comics. I wish they would do Avengers Disassembled series as a film. That one was brilliant. See, I make all these like bold statements about these intellectual properties, and I think the last graphic novel that I ever read was The Watchmen. I thought that was a great series, and I actually really enjoyed the film as well. But then again, I wasn't a die-hard sort of like fan of The Watchmen. But I do like Alan Moore. I think he's an absolutely wonderful writer and a very interesting man indeed. And what was that thing he did with Stuart Lee? It was like an interview with Stuart Lee interviewed him, and I thought that was just really fascinating. Stuart Lee, another person who idealistically probably won't get along with, but I find him to be quite interesting and funny. Have you watched Werewolf by Night yet? No, I haven't. What's Werewolf by Night? I feel like I should know what that is. And then Adam says Spawn is coming back as a series. I really enjoyed that Spawn film with Michael Jai White. Was it Michael Jai White? So I'd be interested to see what that's like as a series. And ironically, I've been singing the praises of The Punisher. I've actually yet to watch the complete series on Netflix. I watched the first few episodes, and then for some reason just stopped watching them. But I don't know. I like those sorts of characters. But then again, I actually really like Batman as a character. Because I think when I was a kid, in terms of like comic book related media, Batman was probably the one that I watched the most. I mean, Batman the animated series was just fantastic. I remember that as a kid just being lovely. The animation style, obviously, because it's a kids' cartoon, it's not going to be too downbeat. But there was like this like sense of bleakness about it. I mean, Bruce Wayne is a tragic character at his core because he witnessed his parents getting killed in the streets. But again, he's not got superpowers, has he? Really, he's just a man. He's a genius, and he's got gadgets. So that side of like superhero comics, but in that same extent, I like horror comics. I like the concept of the Swamp Thing. I need to rewatch the film from, was it the late 80s, early 90s? Was it Tom Savini who directed that? I can't remember. I think he was like involved in the special effects, which he was supposed to be at the HorrorCon that I was going to. But in typical Tom Savini style, he apparently turned around, even though saying he was going to be there, turned around to the organizer and said, "Yeah, I don't want to come." And from what I've heard from personal accounts with Tom Savini at these. As much of a genius as he is, because he's a genius, his practical effects work throughout his career has just been phenomenal. And I would say his version of Night of the Living Dead, I don't know, I hope Paul's not watching this, but his version of Night of the Living Dead is better than George Romero's version of Night of the Living Dead for me. But he just seems like he is a proper prick. And it's so sad because nobody would really know him outside of the industry if it wasn't for the die-hard fans who like loved the effects, who like went to like his master classes and like trained under him, and went to like events where he was like doing speeches and showing off his practical work. And it's sad that these really talented people can just end up being complete utter arseholes. Although I will say, he did provide the best audio commentary of Dawn of the Dead, which I think you don't really see it on many releases of Dawn of the Dead. I remember I picked up like a really cheap like director's cut DVD a few days after I watched it for the first time. And there's a commentary track from Tom Savini that I've never seen on any other version of Dawn of the Dead that I've watched or owned. The What If issue of Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe is quality, shows that with enough planning, the Punisher is unbeatable. And then Werewolf by Night is a Marvel 1 hour one-off on Disney Plus. Doesn't relate to the rest of the Marvel universe. Okay, so it's like this standalone thing. So, see, I find stuff like that a lot more interesting than a lot of the stuff that is put out there from the Marvel and DC and other comic book publishers. I mean, we all saw how Walking Dead just turned into just an absolute car crash of a TV series. I actually need to watch that series of Swamp Thing. But at the same time, I don't want to watch it because I'm worried that it ends in a way that you're expecting a second series. Bang headphones. So I'm like, I don't really want to watch it, but I need to pick up the film. I need to pick up the Swamp Thing film on Blu-ray. So I remember that being a really fun film, to be fair. I also need to get Toxic Avenger on Blu-ray. Because the Toxic Avenger films are fun. Trauma in general is just a wonderful thing. And Lloyd Kaufman. I can't believe that Lloyd Kaufman of Trauma fame was like one of the location scouts on Saturday Night Fever. Which, by the way, amazing film if you've never watched it. But yeah, so I think I've got to call this stream, call it a night. It's 10 o'clock. I'm getting very hungry. I've got a feeling the Death Star Part 3 might be a mistake. Because it doesn't take much for me to feel like shit the next day, especially if I've had a very potent pickled egg. Which, by the way, don't use the is it Bramwell's, Aldi's brand? Don't use Bramwell's pickling juice for pickled eggs. It's too harsh. It's just vinegary as shit. And I don't know if it's been picked up on camera, but my stomach has been gargling so much since I've eaten that. So thank fuck I'm not in the office tomorrow. But yeah, we've had a little bit of a political discussion. We've talked about comics. We've talked a little bit about films. We've come to the realisation that Evil Dead 2, out of the two IPAs pails from the Evil Dead series from Rivington, is the better beer. Just realised. No, I was just finding it because it had coffee in it, so I want to do a standalone review. But this is absolutely fantastic from the supermarket. But if you can buy it directly from Northern Monk, do it that way. Anyway, I'm going to call this a night. I really want a remake of Condor Man, a superhero film that could be so much better. Condor Man. You need white vinegar. That vinegar, yeah, it certainly is. I didn't realise just how potent it was. Although it did stink out the kitchen when I opened the jar the first time. But yeah, we will do pickled eggs properly. Or I might just leave it to the experts, the free houses around the country who are providing the patrons with high quality pickled eggs. Pickled eggs are wonderful. And if you don't like pickled eggs, then you don't like pickled eggs. Anyway, so yeah, thank you for watching this. Turned into a bit of a mess towards the end, but that's what streams are for. That involve alcohol. And yeah, thank you for watching. Go check out Rivington, a wonderful brewery. And thank you all for watching, commenting. Can't believe I've been live for 2 hours. Hope I haven't outstayed my welcome too much. But yeah, and I hope you all have had a wonderful Halloween. And if you're going to be watching a film after this, then feel free to come back a little bit later. Let me know you've watched in the comments, and I'll just ignore the comment like I do in every other video. So, content creator. Anyway, cheers for watching. Well, take care, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye bye.